going to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Hillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's.
This wasn't just a playoff loss. This was sabotage. The Indiana Fever entered their playoff game against the Atlanta Dream already on life support, with a staggering 6 players sidelined by injury. But the injuries weren't even the worst part. What followed was a brutal display of one-sided officiating that systematically dismantled their chances. This wasn't just bad luck, it was a game that felt rigged from the start, leaving fans furious, players helpless, and an entire franchise wondering if they were robbed.
Players they have. So Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Duntis.
Come on, guys. This is my new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah.
The scale of the Fever's injury crisis was almost unbelievable. It wasn't just 1 or 2 key players out. It was a catastrophic collapse of their roster. Their superstar, Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly reshaped their offense, was sidelined with a season-ending groin injury. Her gravity and deep threat potential were gone. Chloe Bibby's reliable shooting and floor spacing vanished with a knee injury. Sophie Cunningham, a veteran leader and clutch shotmaker, was out. Sydney Colson, another key guard, was gone with her own knee problems. Ari McDonald's speed and playmaking were sidelined with a foot issue. Then, in a final cruel twist, Darius Dantis was pulled less than 24 hours before tip-off due to concussion protocol. That's 6 rotation players, 6 essential bodies, vanished from the lineup.
We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super, super happy to have them with us.
To make a point about unity, the Fever traveled with all 16 players, but the scene on their bench told the real story. It looked like a ghost lineup. The active players were outnumbered by the walking wounded in street clothes. The bench was so crowded that they had to set up a second row behind the first, like overflow seating at a movie theater. When you can't even fit your injured list on the sideline, you know you're in uncharted territory. It was a visual reminder of the impossible odds they faced before the ball was even tipped.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. How do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
And yet, despite being a walking MASH unit, the Fever came out swinging. They didn't play like a team missing its core. They played like they had a point to prove. They shocked everyone by jumping out to an explosive 15-6 lead, catching a fully loaded Atlanta team completely off guard. The home crowd in Atlanta fell into a stunned silence.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injuries. And the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Kelsey Mitchell was on fire, a blur of motion as she drilled shots from all over the court, looking completely unstoppable. On the other end, Alea Boston anchored the defense, clogging the paint and pulling down rebounds like she owned the rim. For a few brilliant minutes, the impossible felt real. This broken, battered team wasn't just competing, they were dominating. It was a stunning display of defiance, a middle finger to their circumstances that had Atlanta scrambling for answers. But just as the miracle felt within reach, a third team decided to join the game. The officials...
Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this. Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job.
Carl Semesco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then. As Hull 40-33, Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Hull gets a step and finishes off the window.
The momentum haste began subtly, with a few questionable whistles that disrupted Indiana's flow, but soon it became a relentless, game-altering pattern. Clean defensive stops were suddenly transformed into free throws for Atlanta. Lexi Hull found herself at the center of the storm, getting hit with phantom fouls for playing perfect defense. On one play, she was in perfect position, hands straight up, with 0 illegal contact, yet a whistle blew and sent Atlanta to the line. Coach Stephanie White, seeing her team's hard-earned rhythm being systematically dismantled, was forced to act. She burned her first challenge in the first quarter to overturn that ridiculous foul on Hull, and it worked.
The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hull didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hull turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it.
Then she had to use her second one before halftime for the same reason, on another phantom call. She won both challenges, proving the referees were flat out wrong, but it left her completely powerless for the rest of the game. With no challenges left, she was flying blind, forced to watch as the one-sided officiating continued. Meanwhile, Atlanta was allowed to play with brutal physicality. Elbows were thrown, players were shoved on post-ups, and the whistle remained silent. The message was clear. There were 2 different sets of rules on the floor, and Indiana was on the wrong side of both. It was death by 1,000 whistles.
Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hull did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly.
Well, Lexi, talk about the physicality of this game and knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
The frustration that had been simmering for 2 quarters finally erupted. After a sequence where Atlanta's Ryan Howard blatantly pulled on Shapeti with no call, Stephanie White had seen enough. She unleashed her fury on the officials, her voice echoing through the arena as she said what every single person watching was thinking, and was immediately hit with a technical foul. The moment perfectly captured the team's sense of injustice, but what happened next was even more telling. As White's anger boiled over, it was the injured Caitlin Clark who limped over from the bench to calm her coach down.
Thrown out of bounds. No foul, right? Remember that play, okay? Boston, foul. But look at this. So she goes for the ball, and then they call a foul on Lexi Hull. Look at, she says, wow.
The image was surreal. The team's sidelined superstar, the future of the franchise, unable to play but forced to act as the voice of reason to prevent her coach from getting tossed. It was a visual confirmation that the Fever weren't just fighting the dream, they were fighting an invisible force, a battle that felt completely unwinnable. The system itself seemed to be against them, and the helplessness was now palpable on every player's face.
It didn't stop either. You'd think after 20 of them, look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row, same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give him a layup? She is not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play for putting your hands up.
In the middle of the chaos, one player refused to surrender. Kelsey Mitchell put the entire team on her back and went to war. She poured in a playoff career-high 27 points, attacking the rim, hitting tough, contested jumpers, and doing everything in her power to keep the Fever alive. Every time Atlanta threatened to pull away, Mitchell would answer with a defiant bucket. She was a lone warrior fighting against an overwhelming force, with defenders draped all over her on every possession.
Atlanta's had a few of those last few possessions. Mitchell, catch, fire, and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Griner, and able to squeeze it in off window. And another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. They slide it into Boston, center of the lane, turning and finishing. Aaliyah Boston, beautiful.
Alongside her, Aaliyah Boston was engaged in her own brutal battle in the paint. Despite being in constant foul trouble thanks to the ticky-tack calls, she fought her way to 12 rebounds, battling multiple defenders and taking elbows on every possession. It was a display of pure, unadulterated grit from Indiana's leaders, a refusal to quit even when everything was going against them.
Mitchell gets it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aaliyah Boston set on that possession, her stagger, pin down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, re-screen action, and then finally rolls to the basket.
Kelsey, given the playoff format change, you guys being able to actually host a postseason game for the first time in your career in Indiana, how much do you expect that to help you guys, to give you momentum, and how just personally excited are you for that?
Personally excited. I'll let you know when I get there. But I think it gives ourselves a chance to stay in a hunt of things we really trying to figure out, a way to come back here whenever we play. We would like to play again. So you're gonna have to take the necessary steps to be at your best. But I would like to think that being back at home can kind of give us a sense of comfort. So hopefully we can use it for what it's worth and not take it for granted.
But even a heroic effort from Mitchell and Boston couldn't overcome the brutal reality of what the Fever were missing. Without Caitlin Clark's legendary range to stretch the floor, Atlanta's strategy was simple and suffocating. They packed the paint, completely cutting off driving lanes and daring anyone other than Mitchell to beat them from the outside. The court shrank for Indiana. That strategic advantage was devastating, and the stats proved it. The Fever shot a miserable 2 for 15 from three-point range.
I mean, we're competing against everyone. We're in every single game. And I think at the end of the day, we've seen in moments when we're not doing well or games that we've lost, it's really things that we can control. So making sure that we're locked in on all of those things and tidying up those little things, because if we can put together 40 minutes, we feel like we can beat anybody in the league. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited that the playoffs is finally here. And now, it's not about what our record was. It wasn't about teams we beat or who we didn't beat during the regular season. It's about Atlanta. It's about this game on Sunday. So that's all we're focused on, and we're really excited about the opportunity.
While Mitchell fought a lonely battle, Atlanta rolled out a seemingly endless supply of weapons. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard both scored 20. Naz Hillman added 16, and Brittany Griner's presence alone warped Indiana's defense. The Dream could rotate fresh bodies in and out, keeping the pressure on, while the Fever were running on fumes with a skeleton crew. It was a simple, brutal numbers game, and the Fever simply ran out of numbers.
I think we're just really excited about it. I think last year our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. I know, I mean, watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gainbridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what they've, you know, how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And I love this new format.
The loss in Atlanta was brutal and disheartening, but the fight wasn't over. The war was just moving to a new battlefield, one the Indiana Fever hadn't seen in a very long time. For the first time since 2016, a playoff game would be held at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. This wasn't just another game. It was a do-or-die last stand for a franchise that had endured nearly a decade of waiting for this moment. They would be stepping onto their home court with the exact same depleted roster, facing the exact same daunting opponent. The odds were still stacked impossibly against them.
I know that you guys are focused on the game tomorrow, but just with the change in playoff format and knowing that you guys are going to have an opportunity to play at home, does it feel differently this year at all? Even though, again, like, you know, you have to get through tomorrow first.
It doesn't feel differently for me. I mean, you know, because I've been in all the formats. You know, being a player and a coach, I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, you know, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. You know, I remember a year ago in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
But this time they had a secret weapon, 17,000 fans starving for playoff basketball. This is about more than just one game. It's about pride, resilience, and a city's refusal to be ignored. The question is no longer just about who is on the court. It's about whether the raw energy of a desperate home crowd can be enough to fuel a miracle. Can sheer will and hometown pride overcome injuries, injustice, and a stacked deck? Or was this team's incredible fight always destined to end in heartbreak?